Oi, 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 oi. Ngana beta, kole la podcast ko. Alright, welcome back, my culture story mob, to the first episode for 2020. And in this episode, I share a story that my mother told me around the campfires when I was a young whippersnapper, and we were spending a lot of time living in the bush. And she would tell us these stories from her childhood and the time before contact with white man, when my grandparents, my older uncles and aunts, were still living as tribal people living in the Spinifex country. And in this story, there are two amazing discoveries that were made. One was the first time our people came in contact with white men, camels, and this amazing thing called matches, which we called Yilintji. So I hope you enjoy it and learn something of my culture story.
This is a long time ago before Leonora was here, and when only one guys were living in the bush. But this is from way over other side Laverton, north of Laverton. It's so you ever seen pictures? You see the men on the camels. They ride the camel along, and they're the explorers. So one day all these kids were playing around, and they're playing on the sand hill, big high sand, like a big sand pit, and they'd climb up and slide down and playing, and they're playing and playing, and then they looked up and seen this big mammal come over the sand hill. They all jumped up and they started running. All the kids scattered, and they calling out to the old people, "Quick, mammal coming, mammal coming!" And they all jumped up and ran. All the old people grabbed their spears and everything, and they took off, started running. A mammal come along, another one come up. 3 or 4 of these mammal come up. And one little girl, she was too slow. And a mammal came along and grabbed her. And everybody all got sad. "Oh, Naro, look, that little girl." She might have been about your age, you kids. "Oh, Naro, look, that mammal, they got that little kid." So all the old people, they all was a long way standing looking over the sand hill. They can see all this mammal go along, and they all started sitting down. And that little girl was caught with all them mammal. Then they'd look, that mammal come apart. There's one big one, big long neck and head. Another one come off. Thinking, what happened here? How come this mammal separated? Then they had look, this other mammal turn around and start taking all the, like looked like he was tearing the skin off the other mammal. Took this thing off, put it down. They thinking, "Oh no, that kid's finished. She's gonna die now. Look at that, they killing each other. What they gonna do to her?" And that little girl was sitting down, sorry way. Everybody was sorry. They cried. "Oh well, can't stay here. We better go." So they took off. They didn't want to get caught. And that little girl was left with a mammal. She's sitting down, but then she realised, hey, this mammal come apart. It's not a mammal, that's a man. He got a different colour skin. He got all this other stuff on. but he looks like a man. Yeah. Oh, let me finish first. Let me finish. So this mamuk, then she's sitting down there. Oh no, this is what they seen. They seen all them collecting all the wood, bringing all the wood in. Made this huge big fire like ours. In the old days, when you're living in the desert, you don't have a big fire like this. You have a little one, little fire. Even though people were walking around, they didn't have any clothes, they'll still make a little fire. And when they seen that big fire, they thought the only one reason why you make a big fire, that's to cook something big in it. So that's when they got scared and they took off, left that little girl there. But she seen them when they was making the fire. They got this thing and went, and a spark come in and made the fire. The matches. And she's sitting down there, watched them. They got this white stuff, mixed it all up, put it in the fire, cooked it up, and they broke some and eating it. And the little girl watching, and she realised, oh, they all busy now. They're not watching me. So she grabbed that box of matches and she took off, run away, and chased all the family up. Don't know why, because they left her. But they chased all the family up, and oh, they was happy. Oh, you come back, we thought you was finished. You was going to be koko for the mamu. And they kept going. And that was a story my mother told me from when she was a little girl. All her old people told her that story. And you know what all the mamu was?
Camels.
Yeah,
Camels
white man on the camels. So they're riding the camel. Nobody's seen a camel before, so they thought it was a big mamu coming along. And they didn't know what all these white men with the clothes and all that, and they thought he was pulling that other animal apart, skinning him, but they was taking the saddle off. So that's,
and they got the camel to lie down properly.
yeah.
When the camel sat down, yeah.
And that's the first time they ever seen matches.
So the girl took the matches, told her family.
Yeah, she took it away and old people kept it. So
Part of the My Culture Story Mob, that's the episode for January 2020. Now stay with us, keep an eye out. We've just discovered that we are now on Spotify, so you can find My Culture Story on Spotify to download and listen to. But also keep an eye out for our books coming out this year. Reprints of 10 bush foods you must try, and a new book that's still in draft form, slowly coming together, working together, Aboriginal employees and the workplace, both by Kado Muir. And accompanying these books, I aim to develop and set up and bring to a launch specially tailored online Aboriginal cultural awareness courses. So really keep an eye out for these new products coming out very soon. Well, I hope you enjoyed this episode, and I look forward to speaking with you again in February 2020. Well, mora nago.